What happens if Elon Musk's Twitter files for bankruptcy? Hey guys, today we're going to talk about what happens if Elon Musk's Twitter files for bankruptcy. Let's get right into it. Twitter Inc.'s new owner, Elon Musk, warned employees that the social media company could go bankrupt if it doesn't start generating more cash. It was an unusual scenario for a company he had purchased for $44 billion just 2 weeks before, in part with $13 billion in Wall Street bank loans. It could be a scare tactic as he moves aggressively to reshape the company by laying off employees, shaking up operations, and eliminating Silicon Valley perks like remote work and free food. Musk, after all, has been known to use the B word to ostensibly motivate his workforce. But few things about Musk or his Twitter acquisition have been straightforward. While a bankruptcy is unlikely anytime soon, his comments should not be dismissed completely. Twitter has incurred significant debt, it is having difficulty attracting advertisers, and the broader technology industry is under increasing strain, with behemoths like Facebook owner Meta Platforms Inc. cutting back sharply in the face of slower advertising growth. With that in mind, here are 3 things you should know about Twitter and bankruptcy. Is Twitter really on the verge of bankruptcy? For the time being, such a step appears unlikely, and discussion of it is, at best, premature. According to a filing, Twitter had $2.68 billion in cash and cash equivalents as of June 30th, along with another $3.4 billion in short-term investments. Even with Twitter's new debt, that cash pile could keep the company running for a long time. Musk, as the world's richest man, has plenty of firepower to keep that company afloat, and he could potentially inject more cash into Twitter if things got bad. This, however, would almost certainly necessitate the sale of additional Tesla Inc. shares, posing a risk to the electric car maker's stock price. However, even before the takeover, Twitter's financial situation was dire. Since 2019, the company has not been profitable for a full calendar year. Musk has also stated that there has been a massive drop in revenue since the takeover, as some advertisers have left the platform. He also expressed concern that the company was losing more than $4 million per day. So, what could go wrong for Twitter? The debt. Musk borrowed about $13 billion from banks to acquire Twitter in a transaction known as a leveraged buyout. This is when the buyer leverages the target company's balance sheet to help fund the acquisition. Twitter's annual interest expense has risen from less than $100 million to around $1.2 billion as a result of this strategy. That's enough to consume a significant portion of Twitter's annual revenue, which is expected to be around $5 billion in 2021. The situation could worsen because interest rates on roughly half of the debt are not locked in and will rise with the market. A possible economic downturn would also cause advertisers to cut back on spending. Meanwhile, Musk is charting a new course on content moderation, which has some advertisers concerned that their brands will be harmed. Furthermore, Musk's leveraged purchase of Twitter with such vast borrowed funds comes with its own cost, more than $1 billion in interest payments each year that it would owe in the following year, according to Reuters. Companies dealing with large amounts of secured debt, often backed by assets such as cash on hand, property, or inventory, may use Chapter 11 bankruptcy to restructure in order to remain in business. Twitter, whose acquisition was facilitated by top venture capital firms and foreign investors, may face pressure from secured lenders to find a solution. Lenders and others owed money by a bankrupt company have a lot of influence over how a restructuring plays out. They attend court hearings to determine how the company can use its cash reserves or whether new financing can be approved to help it get through the process. So what happens if Twitter ever declares bankruptcy? In a bankruptcy, shareholders bear the brunt of the losses. That means Musk and a few other backers will almost certainly lose their entire $33.5 billion equity investment. Musk would almost certainly lose control of the company because lenders typically receive a stake in the newly reorganized company in exchange for their debt being written down. That's how bankruptcy usually works, and it effectively ensures that Musk would only do so as a last resort. The Chapter 11 process is designed to assist a company in restructuring rather than going out of business. In this scenario, Twitter could theoretically rise from the ashes, but only under the control of the banks that lent to the company. This is an unwelcome situation for the Morgan Stanley-led consortium of 7 banks, which never intended to hold the debt in the first place. Normally, they would have offloaded their debt commitments to money managers in the form of junk bonds and leveraged loans before the deal closed, but under the control of the banks that lent to the company. Prior to Musk's announcement of bankruptcy, some funds offered to buy a piece of the loan package for as little as 60 cents on the dollar. This would be one of the steepest markdowns for such loans in a decade, implying significant potential losses for banks and implying that investors have already priced in some default risk. Musk's comments will almost certainly make it even more difficult for banks to sell the debt to potential investors, who will almost certainly want to see multiple quarters of good performance before getting involved. That's all for today, and we'll be sure to catch you all in the next one.